Welcome to another video. Um, Today's video, I just wanted to give more background and depth into what you guys see behind you. You know, this is part of my collection, part of the work I do, and to really break it down for you, I'm an artist. I'm a creative, a multidisciplinary creative. I do a mix of things from sketching, painting, drawing, graphic design, you name it. If it interests me, I'm going to find a way to add it to my tool belt. And this is an extension of that in its own form and its own shape. But it's a combination of two passions of mine. Or you can say multiple passions, but it definitely starts with two. So, give you more of a story. I'm a film photographer. I'm a photographer, but I tend to prefer film. Why? Because to me, nothing beats it, really. We live in an age of instant gratification, and when you shoot film, as a photographer, I feel like it makes you very intentional, and that intention shows in the 36 or 24 frames you have for a photo or for a project or whatever it is in that camera, because you don't want to waste it. So I value that aspect a lot because I think it shifts your mindset for the better, and you start working with intention, and you use your camera less as a hobbyist form and more as a tool. But that's what really got me into it, and then the whole scientific process behind how it gets developed, and how they were able to take photos back then, how you have a slim piece of plastic that can hold so much, and exposing it to light and then holding it for a certain time, and then you can get right back and see the photos if you wanted to. No matter really the time limit, because it's the craziest part. Even this is what was really my first level into film, where I was at an old job of mine. I used to be a lab assistant, and the coworkers, they're really good coworkers. We had to work these long shifts, and because of that, it just really got us close, and it was very family like, you know. And one of my coworkers knew that I was a photographer and knew that I was shooting film, and she had film of like canisters. Like I still remember opening the canisters and like just being in awe, because I didn't even know this was capable. But developed film from World War II from her great grandpa. Correction, actually. I'm either they were already developed, or they got scanned. They got developed and then scanned. Regardless, what was crazy for me was that looking and being like, oh my gosh, this is from so many years ago, so many blue moons ago, and I'm still able to get a crisp image. I can see the plane. He was stationed in Pearl Harbor, so I see the base photos of his crew and the woman he would come to marry. It just crazy to see that story, and that was in film. You tell moments with film, and the photo quality, the grain, the warmth in certain film you use. If you were using the gold 200, or if you wanted to use a Portra 400 for something nice and fine, or then if you really wanted to switch it up and use like some experimental films, it was up to your choosing. Like, that was so interesting to me. I loved it, still do, but I was shifting most of my shoots towards that, doing a bunch of photography, film on my free time, film, just shooting, developing, and then they give you the option. They say, okay, do you want your negatives, or do you want us to throw them away? Me, I kept my negatives. Most people keep their negatives. There are some people, if they only want it for that one time off thing, they'll say you can have them. Me, I keep my negatives. So I think that there's value in that. There's a story in all of them, because it just represents moments of me and just a lot of different things, right? And I look, and I just keep them in. It got to a point they give you in these little bags, but I would put the little bags in like bigger bags, and I had like, got to the point where like this one white bag that I had was now like 10 white bags full of film. And my mom was like, yeah, I'm gonna throw these away. And I was sitting like, no, don't throw them away, because I can use them. Like, first, I can use them because that's just the creative in me. But second, there was so much attached to them that I didn't want to like just have them discarded like that. There's so many memories attached to each one of those frames that I didn't even want to have them go to waste. So I just sat with them, and then I had the idea. I was like, I want to create something. I want to create something out of these. But I didn't act on it yet. I did not act on it yet. I waited. And it wasn't until the passing of my friend I was at a very low state, just really just trying to process it all, and I just needed an outlet, a way to express myself. And I said, you know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna go and create something, right? Just act on an idea that I just had. And I went, grabbed some film, sketched up something real quick. It was a Jimi Hendrix. And I just went to cutting, just cutting. One piece after the other, just filling in each layer, each part of it, till it was done. I looked at it, and I was satisfied, but for me, I do find satisfaction in my own work, and I do give myself the props. But when it wasn't until, and then this is because he's, my creative guru, someone I look up to creatively, like the Yoda, you'd say. It wasn't until I went to my dad and showed him. I was like, look what I made. Seeing his facial reaction, he was like, whoa, like, yeah, that's tough. Like, like, that's cool. Like, how'd you do that? And then just broke it down to him how I did it, gave him the rundown, and he just was like, "Yeah, that's cool. Keep doing more of that. That's you." And mainly because he's never seen anything like that before, and he told me, he said, "I've never seen anything like that before, Kyle. This is nice." And the attention to detail, the way you're able to get his features and still have the film show out and still be present. That right there was like the first hint that I was onto something, that I've really found my quote unquote style, and I was happy because for the longest it's always been me creating, because yes, my dad is a big inspiration for me, but it's me creating, and when I create, a lot of the times it emulates or has a lot of similarities to the work of my dad, which makes sense. You draw inspiration from those around you, so it would that would be a common thing to happen, right? But that would get at me because I was like, my work is my own, but you're still you're still not giving it the full credit, right? I wanted something that would stand alone, and something that represented me, and I felt like that did that. And regardless of the reassurance I got later on with, going to I would I had a show in Art Basel that I was prepping for, so I had that piece there, and then I had another piece I had made, a Tupac, and I sold both of those, and those were one of the first two I sold that night. And I went on to make another piece, and I just realized that it just gave me joy to create them, to sit down and really just give my stories, my photos a new life, a new experience, and that was just gratifying to me. Like, that alone just set it off. That was a difference maker. And I just kept going, kept pursuing, kept making, kept creating, kept doing things that would put me on the right path to creating, like I just showcasing my art. I would just go random places. Coconut Grove Art Festival, went there, put my art on display on the corner because one of my friends had a building there, so I was like, okay, let me just see if I can just show my art. They said, okay, boom, cool. Then I went to other art shows that they would have at schools. I was just in that mode. I was just creating so many pieces. I would go to this traveling art show called Blackboard Art Show. They would go to Orlando, L.A., New York, you name it. Any show that I can make, I was there. And I loved it. It was cool. It was a great time. And my dad would come with me. It was just great moments, like really cool moments to see. And like, those are like cherished because we were just able to create and just, make money off our creativity. And not to say that like feedback is everything you should go off of, and like, I'm saying, if you're an artist and you feel a certain way that you want to create, boom, do you at the end of the day. But for me, like, it was when you find the intersection of something that gives you joy and something that has resonance and everyone can receive it well. That was the difference maker for me, and I think that was what made me say, okay, this is my style of art. This is something that I can say, no, this is what I do. Like, I'm a film photographer at the end of the day. I'm always gonna shoot film. I'm always gonna be a creative, and I love art. I love creating in general. Why not combine the two? hone in on it, give it a different perspective, something for people can stop and think. And I love that aspect because when I'm at shows, it's always for the most part, there's at least a good 5 people that'll stop from afar and they'll look like, okay, that's a nice painting of Lauryn Hill, right? Or a nice painting of a face, right? Or hands. And then they'll get closer, and I like seeing that shift in their face, that awe, that especially for those who know. Because some people, because we live in an age of instant gratification, right? This is crazy for me to see too. Some people don't know what film is. Some people don't know at all what negatives look like. If you showed it to them, they'd be like, okay, what is this plastic? Some people, they do know. They'll be like, dang, I remember this. And it just brings back that nostalgia. That sitting and waiting for the film to develop. And I love that. I love that aspect of it. And seeing how it can connect different people. And how my art can be a bridge for that connection and those stories. And now, because of it can be a grandpa and a little kid looking at my art. The grandpa and the little kid feel 2 completely different ways, yet they're gravitated towards the same piece that I was able to create. And the grandpa can be talking about moments of when he was shooting film and shooting his biggest moments of what back in the day, and giving those stories to his grandson, while his grandson can be looking at the piece and then just in awe at the creation itself, how colors can mix or how different mediums can blend. And seeing that translation for him is inspiring him, I'd hope, to create, to see art as something he can do or pursue, while being flooded with stories that he'll cherish from his grandpa. That's the type of impact I've seen with my art. That's the type of impact I want to continue to have with my art. And it's because of the art that I'm creating, and when I'm creating how I feel, I just want to have those emotions show on the canvas, but in a way that's representative of me, in a way that's different, in a way that's like, whoa, I want people to walk past my art and be like, damn, how did he do that? Like, honestly, like, what? You made that out of what? You telling me that's... I love that feeling. I genuinely... It's the same feeling that, like, when I look at my art, it's like for me, when I look at this and I see my art, like, and people's reactions, the same feeling goes to when they hear me speak Spanish and they're surprised that I can speak Spanish so well. It's the same. It goes hand in hand for me. Like, when people look at my art and I tell them that it's not the only thing that's painted as a background, and that everything else is made out of film strips, their reaction is priceless. Like, it's the same. I kid you not, if I had $1 for every time someone was like, what? Film? I could buy the new iPhone 7. I could buy 10 of them right now. But I love that aspect, though. I love that feeling that you're like, okay, this is my art. I've made it my own, and I've honed in on the style too, and I'm able to see the differences, and I grow. These are my babies, right? These are my creations. This is part of an extension of me. So I'm gonna want to showcase that, and I'm gonna want to showcase that to the best of my ability, which means I'll hone in on it and continue to grow with it. Now, there was a point where I was making art every single day. I was creating. Like, it just created that habit of creating. Like even you ask some of my friends, like that was such a innate thing for me. And then it started to shift as I started to get things that would supplement my creativity more instead of just creating to create and like going to the shows and stuff, because sometimes you never knew what the shows. But I was grateful to always have a piece sold. And one crazy story was I went to New York, and this was like one of the first shows I went to New York, and I had 10 pieces. No, I brought 11. I brought 11 pieces. And I came back with one. I sold 10 pieces at that art event. And that was like the switch again for me, because I was like, wow, okay, like this is a new feeling for me. Like I've never had someone want to come and buy my art. Like this is I've not buy my art like that, but buy my art like in such a frenzy. Like they were, it was like they were like hungry for it. They're like, oh my gosh, this is beautiful, like chef's kiss. I just need it in my house. And I was there like, yeah, here, like told them my price. They said yes. And then seeing other aspects of it change, I was getting commissions for different pieces. People asking me, if they gave me their negatives, if I could create pieces out of that. And I was like, yeah, I can. And then I started, creating more, to the point where I was like, okay, like, I'm gonna start. This is like the shift too. I started a school for coding and software engineering, right? And I knew that that would take up most of my time and I wouldn't be able to create as much. So I was like, okay, what can I do that can still offset me while I'm not going to be able to work, while I'm not going to be at this job completely? What can I do that can help me? So I was like, let me throw an art show. I threw an art show, and it was one night event, but the pieces were up consistently. But in that one night alone, that's why you just act on God, act on faith, because I was able to generate enough to complete me to the end of the year. I was satisfied. I sold about 5 pieces that night. And that was a good time. I was solo too. It was a solo art show at a coffee shop that I had already had my art at. We were in talks about having the art show, but I said, yeah, let's have an art show. Let's start it. Let's do it. And it went really well. I had a lot of good feedback. Everyone enjoyed the art, the pieces. And looking back, one thing I would wish I did was document that more and talk. And I can talk about it now, but I guess like having that B-roll, that footage, those memories, like they're gonna stay in my head, yeah. But or the pictures and things. But it was nice to have my family there, my friends, and just there together with my art, and it was just nice. Like and to say that I did that by myself. Like I was every logistic part of it. I had my friend DJ. I had drinks. I had the hors d'oeuvres. The art layout was all me, and it was just those moments really shaped me, and I took those into everything that I do now, and it really just gave me credibility that added and like kind of snowballed into everything I do today, which I'm grateful for. And that's pretty much a rundown of where you could say where I'm at now, where I create, and when I tell people what I do, what is my style, I don't tell them I'm a painter. I say no, I'm a film photographer. But instead of throwing away my negatives, I turn them into art. And like I said too, like this isn't the only thing I do. I'm a multi-hyphenate creative, right? So I can do a mix of things like 3D printing, and I can still have a voice in that, and my creativity can still shine regardless of the medium. This is just a medium I chose to quote unquote represent me in the long run. You know, like I do find joy in this. Like I love looking at my pieces and creating and finding just and looking at it and seeing the story behind everyone. Like I see a story behind it, and I'd want to tell every part of it, but I can make videos more about that too. But yeah, I just wanted to give you guys that, you know, background. Show you, okay, how did this get to this, you know? It started with picking up a pen and paper, sketching, and just developing those skills to where I can use those different skills to pivot, adapt, and create my own thing. You know, this is just not just I always say when I look at my art too, like for me, it's not just one form of art for me, right? It's you can look at this as it is and say, okay, yes, this is a painting, but it's mixed media. It's a mix of things that are going on, you know, like and a lot of skills and things that I needed to learn along the time to get to that point. So it's really a reflection of growth and my creative edge and just my creative toolbox all coming together for an embodiment of beauty, right? Like I look at this and I'm like, wow, like I had to learn how to draw to even get the image on the canvas. I had to know something about art or be an interest of art, and then adding those skills, okay, into now we go into knowing how to paint, precision, going into, you know, composition, and then using the medium alone, the film. You can actually see the photos. So there's photos embedded in there. There's layers. There's depth. And that depth creates more understanding. And I value that. Because me, myself, I just think it's a representation of me. I have a lot of depth. I have a lot of layers. I have a lot of things that go on. But you look at those layers, yes, they make one whole piece, yes, but when you really dive into it, you start seeing the little intricacies and the frames, the pieces that really make it up, and there's the beauty in those details, and I just love that, you know. That's why I like to create the art that I do, and I will continue to do that while mixing in the new tools I learn along the way. But yeah, I'm excited. Definitely excited. Thank you guys for listening to this point. If you made it this far, thank you. I'm excited to share with you guys the story, more story behind each piece, because each piece does really have intention and a story behind them. They don't just really get made for nothing. It's all about how I'm feeling at the time and just a mix of things. But yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one.